welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how my brand went from 40K to 100K followers in just 1 year. About May or June of 2023, we were at literally 40K followers. And in only 1 year, which is a lot faster than honestly that I thought it would take, I really thought it would take a lot longer to get to 100K, but in literally just 1 year, we were able to go from 40K to 100K followers, and we weren't even using, those like viral tactics like giveaways, must like, follow, comment, share with your friend, whatever. A lot of brands do that to get followers, but in my opinion, I don't use that method because I feel like a lot of the followers you're gonna get are kind of just like brokies who are like just trying to win something on a giveaway. And then if they follow just for the giveaway and then they don't actually follow through on purchasing anything or they're not super engaged with your brand, then you're basically not going to get engagement from them in the future, which actually hurts your algorithm. So what I tried to do is only try to get followers that are interested and are willing to purchase from me. And I'll show you kind of like a 3-step process on how I did that and got to 100K followers. So that's pretty much what this video is going to be about. And again, I didn't do anything specifically to gain followers. Like I wasn't, my metric wasn't, my lead KPI wasn't to get followers. It's just an after effect of when you run a brand the right way, you simply will get followers just by existing and running it the right way. And it's not like I was posting reels and going viral on TikTok or on Instagram. There's absolutely no virality involved in this process. So I wasn't getting millions of views on reels every week like some brands do. Props to them. But that's just not the game that I was playing. I was trying to just ensure that we had consistent, ads and predictable revenue and followers coming in on a weekly basis, on a daily basis. So in this video, I'm really just gonna be talking about how we did that. So just, follow along. It's not gonna be that long of a video, so just watch the whole thing. You won't regret it. Okay, so the title of the video is how we hit 100K followers in 1 year's time. And the theory, the concept that I want to instill into your brain. Sorry, I don't know why I'm doing this power pose. I'll just go like this. But the concept that I want to instill into your brain is you need to be, one word, consistent, right? So how do we run our brand consistently? Because it's kind of like a fluff word. You know what I mean? It's just like, you got to be consistent. Like everyone knows in anything you do, you got to be consistent. But for clothing brands specifically, let's dive a little deeper into what that means. So you need 3 things. 1, you need to be dropping consistently. Number 2, you need to be ordering inventory consistently. And number 3, you need to be running ads consistently. So this strategy does not work if you're doing pre-order. I just made a video a couple weeks ago about how I feel about pre-order, so watch that if you haven't already. But this strategy only works if you are doing pre-made inventory. There are ways to grow your followers doing pre-orders. There's tons of brands with 90K, 100K, 150K followers that have pre-orders, but there's a lot of cons and negatives and issues associated with that. So that's why I'm choosing to play, and you'll see like this in my YouTube channel, and when I discuss these things, like all of my strategies are really centered around operating in a very systematic and fundamental way, in which if you follow these directions, you'll 100% succeed. Whereas like other people are kind of teaching like, oh, just post on Reels, TikToks, whatever. And like, if you don't get views, you're pretty much fucked. You know what I mean? So if you follow what I say, then my strategies are actually the foolproof way with 100% consistency to systematically grow your Instagram account, your followers, your revenue, your customer base over time. So consistency is extremely important, and that's something that it's a huge it's a huge concept that I use because every day I want my ads to be consistent. I want my content to be consistent. I want all of my back-end systems to be consistent. If I've been doing business for so long that in the past, my first couple brands, they weren't consistent. There was no systems. Revenue wasn't predictable. I want to make sure that I'm setting up my brand in a way in which I spend $1,000 every day. I get $3,000 back every single day. I'm not, posting reels or TikToks, crossing my fingers and hoping for the best. Like, that's just not how I run my brands. I simply just want to spend $1,000 on ads and get $3,000 back every day. Ideally 3.3 thousand, 3.3 repeated, because if you multiply that by 30, then it's 100K. And that's what I've been striving for the past 6 months. We've hit 100K on my brand pretty much every month almost. 1 month we didn't because we didn't have the inventory, but every other month we had inventory. We were hitting 100K a month for about 7-8 months now. And the reason is because we get to run ads consistently, and that's because we're following these steps that I'm about to outline. So the first one is dropping consistently. So a lot of you guys, especially if you're doing pre-order, it's very hard for you to drop consistently, meaning like every 3 to 4 weeks. If you look at certain bigger brands, for example, like Represent or any brand with over 500K followers, 1 million followers, they're pretty much dropping like on a weekly basis. There's always some sort of like launch happening, whether it's like variations of a t-shirt, variations of a hoodie, whether it's a new product category, whether it's a campaign or a certain offer, like we're launching, five hats for $100, whatever it is, they're launching something every week. Now that's really hard for us because we're not at that level. We're only at the 5, 6, 7 figure level. So we don't have enough money or even human resources to be designing and dropping on a weekly basis. But on a monthly basis, it certainly is possible. And that's kind of where I set the standard for my brand. Ideally, I'm trying to drop every 3 weeks. Okay, let me rephrase that. Ideally, every 2 weeks, probably every 3 weeks, and at the very least, every 4 weeks. Now, you might think it's, especially with the times it takes to produce, as well as ship from China to the US, that it's pretty difficult. And you're damn right, it really is difficult. Because imagine this, you have to be sampling, designing, getting production, and then shipping through sea, like 3 to 4 collections, 5 collections even, 6 collections even, at the same exact time. So right now we're sampling, 30 to 40 pieces while we have 2 drops in July, 2 drops scheduled for August, and like those pieces are being produced. Some pieces are in the ocean being shipped already, and then we have a ton of samples being worked on as well. But if you're not, if you don't dive into the deep end and just force yourself to make 50 to 100 samples at the same time, you pretty much won't be able to ever get to the point where you're dropping every 2 weeks or even every 3 or 4 weeks, because you need to have multiple collections or capsules or drops or pieces, whatever, being sampled at the same time. And you need to, before you even start, you need to focus on like your mindset about it. Like you really need to just sit down and just be like, okay, my goal is to drop every 30 days. You have to have like that urgency mindset about it. Most people are just like their cadence is like this, right? It's like they design a collection, even if it's pre-made and not pre-order. They pre-make it, they drop it, and then basically it sells out. And then they're like, okay, I made 5, 10K. Let's see what we can do now. But they don't realize that you have to design more pieces, you have to sample it, you have to produce it. Next thing you know, you're not dropping for another 4 months. So to compress that timeline, you really need to be, when you say you drop a collection this month, you should already have July's collection dropped or the next month's collection already on a boat to you. In fact, they should actually be in your warehouse already. August collection should be on a boat to you. September collection should be in production. October, November, December collections should already be sampling and ideally close to being done sampling, so you can have the samples finished and then produced and shipped on a boat. And then January, February, March's collections should already be in the design process. So you can see we're kind of working 6 to 9 months in advance, and it's really just like a mindset thing in which you have to like know that you can do it, because it's not anything special, right? It's not like some secret strategy. It's just kind of like you have to sit down and make the decision to have urgency so that you can be 6 to 9 months in advance and just put in that work. It's not some sort of secret strategy. It's just the mindset of just like, okay, let's design everything 6 to 9 months in advance, and we just have to put that work in. It's really just up to you. Like nothing is really holding you back from doing this. It's just the fact that you don't know that you can do it. Another reason that you would want to drop often is because it gives you the chance to reach new customers. Every time you post is a chance to hit discover page or for people to share it with their friends or post to their story. So the more drops you can do, the more chances you have to go viral. And what that means is you'll have more brand growth and more word of mouth. And it's just better. Just take it, the extreme. Like whenever I think about how effective a strategy will be, I just take it to the extremes. Like say you were to only drop once a year. What does that do for your brand? Say you were able to drop high quality collections every 2 weeks. What does that do for your brand? Obviously, you don't want to be at the extremes, but somewhere in the middle is good for most people, either every 30 days or every 45 days. But obviously, you don't want to be on the end where it's like you're dropping, every year. You would prefer to be dropping every week rather than year. Whether you can do it every week, whether it's feasible, that's up to you. But at least you shouldn't be dropping every year. So like I said, managing multiple collections at the same time is kind of crazy. So you just have to get through it, because if you want to grow to an 8-figure brand, you pretty much just have to do it. And yeah, you can't really say anything besides you have to do it. The second thing you need to do in order to be more consistent as a brand to hit 100K followers is you need to be ordering your inventory consistently. So this kind of goes in line with what I was telling you about, how you have to design and sample 6 to 9 months in advance, but it also extends to the inventory that you currently have. So one of the most common questions I get is like, how do you stay in stock? When I do pre-made inventory, I always sell out, and then I can't sell for another 2 months. Like people tell me that, like they'll design a drop, they'll sell out, and then they don't have stock for 2 months. So basically they're doing $0 in revenue. Going from 50K drop to $0 in revenue the next month, that's not the definition of consistent to me. So the question is, how do we achieve consistency? You need to be ordering inventory and managing your inventory levels so that as you're close to selling out on something, you've already known that months in advance that you're going to sell out of something, so that you can reorder the inventory so that it arrives on time or as close to on time as possible, so that there's the shortest gap between being out of stock and in stock. To me, this seems very intuitive, but for some reason, I get asked this question a lot. It's like, to me, it seems pretty obvious that if you're running out of inventory, because the lead time is 60 days, you should probably order your inventory 60 days in advance so that it arrives more or less around the time when you sell out. So you'll actually never be sold out, so that you can maximize revenue. But I don't know, maybe it's just me. But I think maybe it's just me. But for me right now, we have like 40 or 50 pieces on the site. So like imagine having to manage the inventory levels for all of those pieces, constantly checking every single day the velocity of which pieces are selling through, so that you can order 60-day lead times so that something is not sold out. And that is the difficulties with managing inventory, but it's just something that you must do, like I said, in order to scale to $5 to $10 million in a year. You cannot be sold out. Some streetwear brand owners think being sold out is good. And I don't know, it might just be ego or something like that. But if you look at the top brands doing 10 million a year plus, they're just simply never sold out. And if they're sold out, it means they fucked up. So if your pieces are sold out, it means you're fucking up. Like that's kind of like a shock to most people, because they kind of play this game where, they drop, they're sold out. It's like they announce, like big announcement, it's sold out. Bro, you're not getting rich selling stuff out. Like you get rich running $10,000 of ads every day, getting back $50,000 a day in return. and every day you're just making tens of thousands of dollars of profit consistently, day after day, 365 days a year. You're not making a lot of money selling out 100K of revenue on a drop day, making maybe 40K profit, and then you can't drop another collection for 3 to 4 months because you have to use that money and make a new collection and then cycle the money through design, produce, whatever, and then maybe you take out money to pay your Trackhawk lease or something like that. I don't know what you're doing with your money, but that's just not how you get rich. Like, sure, you can make side hustle money, a couple extra 100,000, whatever it is. But if you want to make generational wealth with clothing, making tens of thousands of dollars daily, making 8 figures a year, you simply must be able to learn how to manage your inventory levels. And it only gets harder with time. So start now. Imagine, I was looking at Represent's website the other day, and they have maybe 700 SKUs. So they probably have 2 full-time people, maybe 3, just literally just focusing on demand forecasting and demand planning. So yeah, it's definitely huge. Number 1, like I said, in order to be consistent with your brand, you have to drop consistently. Number 2, you need to order inventory consistently. The third point is that you need to be running ads consistently. And you can only do the first 2, you can only do the third point, which is running ads, if you're doing the first 2. The reason being is because if you run ads consistently and you're actually doing it pretty well, then if you're not doing the first 2, meaning you don't drop consistently and you don't have inventory consistently, you're basically just going to sell out in 2 weeks, and then everything is screwed, and then your ads performance is going to drop because you don't have stock and all the sizes are out of stock, and then you have to turn off your ads. To a lot of you probably know exactly what I mean. So in order to run ads consistently, you must be doing the first 2 things. So just to talk about how to run ads consistently from a strategy point, just with the ads, just disregard, imagine you had infinite inventory, infinite drops, whatever it is. How do we actually run ads properly to spend thousands of dollars per day consistently, day after day, without stopping? You need to always be creating content. And if you're coming into the clothing game as a marketer or a media buyer or drop shipper in the past, you know that content is king. But what I noticed is that a lot of clothing brand owners, when they're first running ads for themselves, they don't realize that you really need to push the content. You can't just use one type of content piece or 2 and then claim that your ads didn't work. It just might be because you weren't testing enough content creatives. For a single piece, there could be up to 10 types of ads you can make for just a single piece. And that's new ad creatives, not variations. So if you make 10 new ad creatives, variations, you can make 3 to 5 variations of any concept. So in theory, you can have 30 to 50 ads for literally just one piece. And then you scale that up to 5 to 10 pieces per collection. In theory, you could have hundreds of ads for one collection. Ask yourself, last time you ran ads, sorry, my nose is a little itchy. Ask yourself, the last time you ran ads, how many ads did you create, right? It's you probably didn't create that many. So because you're not creating a lot, you're not going to have that consistency with ads that you were hoping for. And then another thing is that even if you have ads running consistently because you made a lot of content up front for your ad campaigns, if you don't consistently make ads and make new variations or new iterations or completely new styles of ads for those same pieces over time, the first batch of ads are going to get stale. So what you need to do is be consistently creating ads pretty much every week and testing them and seeing what works. You need to have multiple types of content, whether it's flat lays, on models, studio, videos, reels, styling, whatever it is. You need to just be consistently creating ads. And also you need to be optimizing your campaigns by looking at the data to turn off bad ads, bad ad sets, different targeting, so that you can consistently have them running profitably at $500 to $1,000 a day. Just by doing this, you'll be able to bring in followers that are interested in purchasing from you, not giveaway or whatever followers, actual followers that are interested in purchasing from you at a later date. You'll be able to bring in hundreds of these types of people on a daily basis and not rely on just randomly going viral. So to follow these 3 steps, it's just a mindset thing. There's no secret strategy. Just drop often, sample often, design often, order your inventory properly, just use, every day, just rigorously to see what the rate of inventory that you're going through, so that you can use that and calculate when you're going to be out of stock. I know it's a little hard because it might be a little bit, if you don't have consistency with your ads, then it might be up and down like a yo-yo. Like some days you'll sell 10, some days you'll sell 2. But you have to do the best you can and just take like a moving average of like the past 7 days, just to smooth out any of those inconsistency yo-yos. And yeah, so if you follow these things, and it's a surefire way to get hundreds of followers per day. The more you spend on ads, the more you get followers. And if you look at any of the brands with 500 to a million, 500K to 1.5 million followers or 3 million followers, 90% of those followers came from ads. Like, that's just how it is. They're spending $10,000 on ads every day. And in order to do that, you need drops. And in order to do that, you need to manage your inventory levels. So with that, thank you for watching. It's a little bit of a yap session, but hopefully it was educational. And I'll drop another video next week. Subscribe and like the video if you found it informational.